Quiet on the set. Stand by, camera one. Roll camera.
Hello, this is Franklin Mayfield. I want to welcome you to this edition to OnlyBelieve.tv News. Californians' pro-family groups respond to same-sex ruling. The majority of Californians disagree with the state's Supreme Court's decision to legalize same-sex marriage, according to a Los Angeles Times poll. 54% support a constitutional amendment defining marriage as the union between one man and one woman that will appear on the November ballot. Thanks to the court's May 15th ruling, same-sex couples can marry in California as early as June 14th. The court ruled last week that a California law defining marriage as the union of one man and one woman is unconstitutional, allowing same-sex couples to marry. The ruling struck down Proposition 22, a voter-approved statute protecting traditional marriage. The Alliance Defense Fund filed a petition with the California Supreme Court on May 22nd, asking it to delay its ruling until after Californians have voted on the marriage amendment. When voters get a chance to define marriage, they overwhelmingly support one-man, one-woman unions. 27 states have amended their constitutions to protect traditional marriage. ADF attorneys said a delay would prevent obvious legal problems. The people of California have a constitutional right to vote on marriage, and we trust the High Court will respect the democratic process, ADF's senior counsel Glenn Levy said. The possibility of significant and unnecessary legal and social problems can be avoided by waiting to see what the California people desire. Americans have voted to define marriage as between one man and one woman because they recognize marriage does not just affect one couple. It affects all of society, said Wendy Wright, president of Concerned Women for America. Pornographer indicted, but prosecution still lacking. A federal grand jury has indicted an Indiana man after he transported extremely vile pornography out of his home. Unfortunately, law enforcement doesn't seem to be as concerned with mainstream distributors. Lauren J. Adams is charged with transporting obscene materials through the mail and transportation of obscene materials for sale or distribution by means of interstate commerce. He faces up to 5 years in prison on each count if convicted. The type of material is the worst of the worst, said Daniel Weiss, senior analyst for media and sexuality at Focus on the Family Action. It is on the fringe of society, which most people wouldn't even conceive exists. Weiss said this material represents less than 1% of what's out there. This indictment does nothing to stop the proliferation of obscene materials in society, he said. There's a lot of obscene material that's being mainstreamed by large multi-million-dollar companies. Patrick Truman, special counsel for the Alliance Defense Fund, said the Justice Department ought to be going after the major producers and distributors, the ones who are responsible for about 90% of the illegal material on the Internet. New York recognizes out-of-state same-sex marriages. New York Governor David Paterson has sided with gay activists by deciding to change up to 1,300 state policies and regulations to include same-sex couples who are married elsewhere. Paterson's directive to state agencies was issued May 14th. Same-sex marriage is illegal within New York state borders, but the Court of Appeals, the highest court in New York, decided in May to let stand the ruling that required the state to recognize same-sex marriages performed legally elsewhere. Paterson's directive affirms the ruling. In 2006, the same court ruled that only the union of a man and a woman is legal marriage, and that definition is constitutional. Jenny Tyree, associate marriage analyst at Focus on the Family Action, said the court and Paterson are ignoring the 20 million New Yorkers who have defined traditional marriage via state statutes. Our children and grandchildren will pay a very high price if we allow marriage to be changed to suit another purpose entirely, she said. Marriage is not a legal vehicle for the purpose of equality. It is a social institution with children at its heart. Paterson's directive follows the recent 4-3 decision by California Supreme Court to legalize same-sex marriage. Bruce Hodensneck, judicial analyst for Focus on the Family Action, said these actions highlight the need for marriage protection at the federal level. A governor's constitutional duty is to enforce the laws of his state, not to make them, he said. The legal quagmire created by these authoritarian decrees reinforces the need for a federal marriage amendment to be added to the U.S. Constitution. European court to decide if a chimp is a person. Austrian animal rights activists are fighting to have a 26-year-old chimpanzee legally declared a person so he can be adopted. The European Court of Human Rights has agreed to hear the case. Paula Stibb wants Matthew to be recognized as a human being so she can become his legal guardian. Austrian law limits guardianship to humans. The case could set legal precedent for apes and possibly other animals to receive the rights, protections, medical, financial, and social benefits of humans, dailytech.com reported. Wesley Smith, a senior fellow at the Discovery Institute, said giving constitutional rights to animals and plants will open the Pandora's box. Chimp personhood is a primary goal that animal rights activists seek to attain, then use as a wrecking ball to disintegrate human exceptionalism, Smith wrote in his blog. Once a court declares a chimpanzee to be a full person, that ruling would make chimps, and in some other regards, our legal equals. And when that happens, it will be a moral earthquake that will harm humankind profoundly. Switzerland's center helps nearly 900 people kill themselves. Switzerland's suicide center, Digtas, reported that it has helped 868 people kill themselves since it opened 10 years ago. In the last 2 years, 335 people killed themselves, 85% of them foreigners. Swiss law allows agencies to assist with suicides for honorable reasons. They cannot profit from the deaths, however. Digtas admits to charging clients nearly $10,000 in addition to a membership fee. It is imperative that countries support suicide prevention strategies for the most vulnerable citizens, Alex Strattenberg, Executive Director for Euthanasia Prevention Coalition Canada, wrote on his blog. We must recognize that a caring society protects its vulnerable citizens at their greatest time of need. Michigan legislature bans partial birth abortions. The Michigan House on May 27th passed a partial birth abortion ban. The state Senate, with approved similar legislation in January, will now vote on the House version. A federal law upheld by the U.S. Supreme Court last year already prohibits the abortion procedure. The life advocates say a state law is necessary to ensure enforcement. The proposed legislation would punish doctors who perform the gruesome procedure with up to 2 years in prison and/or a $50,000 fine. This isn't about pro-life or pro-choice. It's about common decency and preventing brutal murder, Representative Brian Palmer told the Detroit News. Democratic Governor Jennifer Granholm has indicated she may veto the bill. Chicago's queer prom targets Latino youth. Labna Legal, the Association of Latino Men for Action, and homosexual bathhouse sponsor a queer prom on May 23rd at Chicago's National Museum of Mexican Art. The event was targeted at Latino youth. Mario Diaz, policy director for legal issues at Concerned Women for America, said he believes homosexual activists are encouraging Latino teens who are questioning their sexuality to embrace their lifestyle. As a Hispanic and Latino young man in this country, I feel very offended by it. It goes against everything my community really stands for, he told OneNewsNow.com.
Today's scripture reading, Psalm 71, 1 and 2. In thee, O Lord, do I put my trust. Let me never be put to confusion. Deliver me in thy righteousness, and cause me to escape. Incline thine ear unto me, and save me.
That's a wrap.